Hi everyone, welcome back to the Growth Center where we discuss all things growth. This series, the Pain in the Soil series, we are discussing my book, Pain in the Soil. As always, I'm going to start off this video with a small introduction on chapter 5, which is Amended. Amending soil is the process of adding organic minerals via hand tools or tiller into the soil of a plant or tree. The intended purpose is to add vital resources back into neglected, compacted soils low in matter. So we discussed the seed of trauma. We discussed the hostile soil, which is how we are on the inside once trauma has taken place. We discussed branches of trauma, which is what we exude. And finally, we discussed changing, how to really get that change from the inside so that you no longer send out any branches of trauma. And we talked about in the last video my personal experience, what helped me to really believe that change it had happened down on the inside of me and actually do the work was starting my journey with the Lord, letting Him guide me through life, allowing Him to heal me. And I said that it was not an overnight process, which that was just chapter 4. And I have 11 chapters in this book, so we still have a ways to go. It's definitely not an overnight process, but we're going to detail step by step. And in this chapter, I talk about amending. The chapter is titled Amended, and by plant definition, when you amend soil, you add life back into it. You add minerals, you add things necessary for things vital for growth. So when you relate that to the emotional healing process, you've started your journey with the Lord. You said you're going to trust Him, you're going to change your life. Well, you're going to open up the door to allow Him in to change your life. You are amending your soil. You are changing, you are opening up, letting Him in to change the things that you're going to produce going forward. You're going to be able to produce fruit. These fruits that I'm talking about are fruits of the Spirit, which is love, kindness, gentleness. The way this looks is not being able to respond to situations the same, not reacting. Your speech may be different. Things that you do may look different. I can only use my testimony because I know 100% that that's factual. Not saying that anyone would lie about the personal testimony, but I only want to give my own. So the way the change started to look for me, I told you in the last video, I was hurting on the inside. I said, Lord, for me to change and for me to be healed, I need you to do it because I can't do it on my own. And some of my habits starting to change. I listen to worship music. I listen to different teachings from different preachers I talked about in my last video as well. And as I begin to intake these things, I began to notice a change. No, it wasn't all at once. It was subtle. Like first it was, I want to say the first thing to go was music. I really couldn't listen to any other music that wasn't worship music. I could hear it and it wasn't like, oh no, I turn it off, that's sin. No, it wasn't that. It didn't feed me. I stopped wanting to intake things that didn't feed me. Next were the TV shows. I stopped watching a lot of TV. Now granted, this isn't me speaking, saying you should not listen to certain music or you shouldn't watch certain TV shows. This is just me showing, or better yet, telling my experience, the way change happened to me, the way it looked when my soil was amended. I couldn't watch certain TV shows. I was very careful about what I brought in because I realized that I was healing and I didn't need to take in anything that would stunt that growth. So I couldn't listen to the same music. I couldn't just watch anything on TV. Everything that I desired, and this was a desire for me. This wasn't me trying to act first and believe later. This was a desire. My desires changed, and I attribute that to the Holy Spirit. Once you allow God to come into your life and change you for the better, you're inviting in the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit is going to come in and He's going to be the change. Other people can't make you change. Believe it or not, we can't even make ourselves change. To make ourselves want to have that desire for change, the Holy Spirit does that. And He changed my desire for what music I listened to, changed my desire for what I watched on TV, changed the way I reacted to certain situations. And I really did not want to partake in anything that didn't send me forward spiritually, that didn't grow me up spiritually. So a lot of my time, any free time I had, I was listening to sermons, I was listening to worship music, and I hadn't really developed a prayer life yet. My prayer life came after I saw, like, wow, this is what God is doing in my life. What else can he do? If I can get in his word and I can pray, what else can he do? But we'll discuss all that later. But now we're just talking about amending things that change down on the inside, that really change what you send forward. Because the in plant definition, that's what happens. They go and they add minerals, they add things to the soil to affect plant growth or tree growth moving forward. So if it's been producing anything rotten, once they add those minerals back into it, it's going to produce life now. It's going to produce fruit. Same with us. We're adding goodness to our souls. We're adding the Holy Spirit on the inside of us, so that anything we produce moving forward is going to be of quality. One of my biggest testimonies is the way I responded to situations. I was in a situation in my life where I was constantly being tested, almost provoked. And when I noticed the way I responded to those situations change, that's when I really was a believer. Like, I didn't respond with attitudes. It didn't, like I said, it didn't happen all at once, but my attitude in response to things, it went away. I was more peaceful. I was more loving and understanding. I stopped looking at people and really started looking at their branches of trauma. Because if I had my own branches of trauma, things I did because of what was down deep in my soil, imagine what they were going through. If their branches of trauma might have been worse than mine. They might have had anger as a branch of trauma. They might have had being vindictive as a branch of trauma. What happened? I started to really look at their souls, like what's planted down deep in your soul for you to respond this way. And I really started to look at things in a more compassionate way. I really started wanting people to know and open themselves up to the Holy Spirit, so that the Holy Spirit could come in and dwell there and change what they sent out. From then on, amended, like you change yourself. You're not changing yourself, you're allowing the Holy Spirit to come in and change you, so that anything that you do, anything that you say moving forward is different. A lot of times people get this backwards. That's why they tell themselves, oh, well, I got to get this together. I got to work on my attitude, or I got to work on my faults before I go to church, but before I go to God, because I'm going to be a hypocrite if I pray or if I worship God and I know I got all these things. No, that's completely backwards. Start believing in the Lord. Start trusting in the Lord. He will come and he knows your struggles. He knows that you can't change yourself. He knows that you don't have the power to. So he's going to give you the strength. He's going to give you the Holy Spirit to help change those things. And when I tell you these things just come and you just start noticing, it's almost no effort. Almost no effort. Music, an example. I love music, I really do, but to this day, it's certain kinds of music I just cannot listen to. Music that push certain messages I cannot listen to. And I was a lover of all things music, different genres. So I would think that music would be a hard thing for me to give up. I always thought that oh goodness, that's the only thing, I got to stop listening to certain kinds of music or music that says things. But it was so easy to give it up. Like the passion for it switched. So once you put your passion in knowing and opening yourself up to the Lord, what you send out, the things that edify you, the things that build you up, is going to change. No longer the same TV shows, no longer the same relationships. Just really allow yourself to be amended. Allow the Holy Spirit in to amend your souls, so that you can start bringing forth change that's real, change that's not surface. We talked about that too, when you stop certain behaviors because you realize it's unhealthy, but you really got to do something down on the inside to change. When you open yourself up to the Holy Spirit, that's what's going on. You are becoming amended. Just like in plant definition, when you amend soil so that the tree can bear fruit, or so that the plant can thrive, you really open yourself up to the Holy Spirit so that you can be changed from the inside out, and it's not just surface. As always, I really pray that you get a lot from this video. Key takeaway: the Holy Spirit. It's a real thing. Open yourself up to the Holy Spirit and allow the change to come through by the way of the Holy Spirit. Because if you try to change yourself, that is where backsliding comes in. It really is, because you don't really believe the change down in your soul. If you don't really believe the change down in your soul and your spirit, and your heart doesn't want to change, you're not going to change. The first incident, the first temptation that comes up, you're going to give into, because that change isn't from your heart. But by allowing the Holy Spirit in, He is going to change your heart. He's going to change your desires. He's going to change your wants. This is how we amend our souls, by allowing the Holy Spirit to come in. Again, thank you for tuning in. I pray you got something from it. Please discuss in the comments what changes do you have. If you have just opened yourself up to the Holy Spirit, have you noticed anything yet? Or if you have been saved for a while and stuff started to change for you, what's changed first? How did you notice the change? Was it gradual? Probably so. I don't know. I haven't heard of anyone who just changed big in a big boom of a change all up front. Hey, if you did, let me know. Let me know how that happened and what that looked like. But as I shared, for me, it was very gradual, and I'd like to hear how that change was for you as well. Thank you for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe. See you next time. Bye.